wait for it to start recording. Do you want to begin?
I will, thank you. Hi
You're
everyone.
welcome.
It's so nice to see so many of you actually coming together. So yeah, brilliant. I'm hoping that lots of you have met me before. If we haven't, it may be that we just haven't had a chance to meet, and maybe this is our opportunity. So I am the health manager at Energise Me. Energise Me is the active partnership that covers the whole of Hampshire and the Isle of Wight, including Southampton and Portsmouth as well. So a nice big chunk for us. If you don't know what an active partnership is, we are predominantly funded by Sport England to sum this up best, make it easier for individuals to live active lifestyles. So that could be by ensuring that there are opportunities that meet their needs, that they have positive early experiences for those children, young people as we grow, and that being active is part of our lives. We look at places and travel routes to ensure that they're encouraging that active lifestyle, and it makes it as easy as possible. Think about those bold leaders, and that's what we would sort of think about social prescribing for all of those leaders, because you're all out there supporting individuals to make those sort of healthy lifestyle changes, to support them to manage their own health as best they can. So we know the importance of the roles that you play. So Joe was absolutely right. If you haven't attended some training that we've put on before, please do drop me a line, because I'd love to be able to share with you what we have coming up. There is a course about to start at the end of the month. To my knowledge, it's full, but I can always pop individuals on a waiting list, or let you know about further training that's coming up. And those sessions are created, the content was created with social prescribing and health and wellbeing coaches, so really to pinpoint on some of those skills that we want to support you to develop, or develop further for lots of people, or it might be about refreshing some of that content as well. So they cover obviously lots of stuff around physical activity and the importance and what that really means, and some of those barriers and things that prevent us from being as active as we'd like to. And I think we all probably feel that at times, but it also does things like goes through sustained behavior change, so how to sustain a behavior change, some of those motivational interviewing techniques. So it is a wider course, and I would say that there are lots of applications wider than physical activity as well. So hopefully you would see that as being a benefit across lots of the work that you do, and support those conversations that you're having with your user groups. I'm also really keen to develop this work further. So some of you would have maybe been involved in the physical activity pilot that was happening in Southampton, and we're trying to work out, I guess, how we continue some of that great momentum that was happening, how we apply that and learning to other parts of Hampshire as well. So the pilots aren't lost, they're about growing what that might look like in other spaces. So I'm really keen to understand how you share identified needs and gaps. I guess maybe that's between yourselves as a group, whether you share that externally with other partners, whether you don't actually feel like there is a process for sharing that or capturing some of those needs that you're identifying. I think that's something that I would be really keen to understand, to see whether there is a space for for support there, because what we'd really like to do is ensure that those things that individuals are telling you that they need or they're really interested in doing to support them to be to live an active lifestyle, is that there are the right opportunities out there. We know that there's lots on offer. As much as sometimes we feel like there isn't the right things, there is a lot going on across Southampton, and lots of providers doing lots of different things, which is great, but sometimes they don't always meet the right needs for those individuals. It might be that they're running at the wrong time, or that they could make adaptations in order to make it more accessible. So I won't press for now, because I'm sure Joe's got a packed agenda this morning, and there isn't time, but it's really just to start that process of thinking, how do I capture some of those needs? Who do I pass that information on? And then what do we do with it? And who else do we need to support us to do that? It might be that there are some partners or some groups that already meet, such as the Sport and Physical Activity Alliance. They might be a brilliant space to share some of those identified needs with, so they can sort of respond and make sure that those gaps are filled. So if you have some thoughts about it, I will pop my email address in the chat. Please do reach out to me, because I'd love to have a conversation. But also, I'll be popping in the chat a link to the training, so you have a bit more information. And again, if you haven't undertaken the training, I'd really promote that you do. We, Energise Me, are fully funding it, so it's delivered by the University of Kent, but we know how important it is, and we've had really, really good feedback from probably over 100 social prescribers across Hampshire and Isle of Wight that have already attended. So we're really keen, whilst we can, to give you all access to that training, fully funded at the moment. So thank you, Joe. I'll type away and pop some things in the chat, if that's all right. But if anybody has any questions, I'm happy to take them now.
Cool. Thank you so much, Emily. Yeah, brilliant. Does anyone have anything they'd like to feed back to Emily now, or any sort of initial sort of thoughts or comments? We've got a couple of minutes. I'm just waiting for our next speaker to come. So if any kind of initial side of things jump out. I mean, I think for us, Emily, we obviously worked with you guys on the physical pilot. And I think we kind of hit our stride with it towards, as it kind of sort of came to the end. I think, you know, one of the quite good things we found was that kind of direct link between our development worker and the actual navigator himself, actually having a space to really kind of talk about those gaps and what kind of things he was hearing about that was stopping people from becoming active, but also kind of stretching out that idea of what it means to be active. You know, it's not just necessarily about kind of running group or swimming or some sort of sport. It's actually about, you know, kind of things about moving more around the house, or be encouraged to actually kind of, you know, walk to local shops to get your paper each morning and kind of things like that. So we found to have that kind of direct line between the two. And I think maybe I haven't been to the last couple of physical activity networks, unfortunately. So maybe someone's more better placed to answer this than I. But I think if we're going to encourage more people to be physically active, given the massive benefits that has not only for physical health but also mental health, you know, it would be really good to have some sort of, I don't know, perhaps direct route into you guys to feed that back. What mechanism that takes, I'm not too sure, but something like that. And I'm really keen to sort of restart or use the learning we got from the physical activity project. A couple of ideas were discussed with me, Becky and Helen a couple of weeks ago. So I'd be really keen to start again in some sort of way, shape or form, whether that be a specific person or perhaps a skill set for workers. Arzia, I think, asked a question in the chat.
Yeah, I see that. So yeah, the training we have coming up is, I think it starts on the 29th of this month. The next training is yet to be confirmed. I think because we've been really lucky in getting lots of these R's funded posts through training so far is that we know that lots of individuals have already had it over the last couple of years. So we'll probably look at springtime for the next course to happen. But what I'd say is, if we've got lots of people on a waiting list, we'll bring that forward. It's more about ensuring that we can get enough individuals through the training to warrant a course. So if we can find a big group of individuals that are keen to have the training, I'm keen to set it up straight away. So we want you to have it as soon as possible. So yeah, if you're keen, let me know. I'll pop you down on a waiting list, and as soon as I've got a few individuals, I'll go back and get a date set straight away. Perfect. Right, I'll pop all my details in. Hopefully that the thoughts are whirling in your head, and sometimes you need to process that before you come back. But yeah, please do get in contact. I'm really happy to have any follow-up conversations. If you're keen to learn more about physical activity and the role that it plays, please do give me a shout.
Thanks, Emily. Cheers. And one just kind of last part saying we've got obviously this network meeting that we have, and we do want to kind of feedback thoughts and feedback and gaps that we identify so we can feed those back to relevant people. So things will come out of this. Though I'm sometimes aware that we have quite a wide remit in this group for kind of different stuff that's coming up. So yeah, as I said before, maybe a sort of specific mechanism for feeding back physical stuff might be good. Yeah, put your thing in the chat.
We'll
and anything
connect
you
on
want
that, Joe, and see where we can get to.
Anything we want to distribute, we can do through us. Brilliant. Thank you so much. Cool. We're on time by 2 minutes. That's not too bad. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Joe. Good morning, everybody.
Do you want me to do your presentation while you talk?
My presentation?
Yes, you sent me some notes this morning. Was that our presentation?
No, it's not presentation. It's
pardon me.
It's our 60+ referral flyer,
cool.
which gives basic details, and the email's also got a link to our webpage on the council site where there's a link to online secure form that you can do referrals via. So yeah, that's not a problem, but that's it. So
I'll send it round after this. Mike, I will hand over to you to talk more about your service.
Right. Good morning, everybody. Nice to see you all. Yes, so I'm Mike Garlick. My actual job title is Activity Coordinator. There's no resemblance to what I actually do because I work for the Southampton City Council's supported housing team, and I support residents on our schemes. I also work as a support worker for our 60+ floating support service. The support service is run as part of our supported housing service. So we have teams covering the whole of the city. We have 2 teams in the east. We have 2 teams in the west. The General West team covers all of the west, and then we have the extra care team, which cover our sites like Erskine, Potters, Manston Court, Roselle, Railings, and then we have the Central North team, which basically everything this side of city centre side of Hill Lane over to the river, and then we have the East team, which covers everything to the east of the river. So we have 26 schemes across the city. Our support workers on our supported housing also deliver the 60+ floating support. So when a referral is received, either via our voicemail system, email, or the online referral, the coordinators of the teams take it in turns to triage the referral, usually contacting the person that's been referred to make sure that they're happy with the referral and they're happy to work with us, and then it's allocated to a support worker. We can support with a whole variety of things. We don't deliver all the support. A lot of the stuff we do referrals for, like benefits checks and that, because they're always changing. It's difficult for our teams to keep up with them. So if we get a referral for benefit support, we will do a referral to the council's welfare rights team, which normally only deal with council tenants. whereas because they're a client of ours, they will accept the referral. The only referral they won't accept is if they come from a housing association supported scheme, because those schemes should have someone that is there to do that role for them. I say we can have all sorts of problems with housing. We'll go out, and if someone needs to move, we'll go out and complete a housing application form with them. We will watch the process, and when if they're accepted and their account goes live, we will be bidding for them on properties, and support them in what way we can with that. I had a lady recently, she was referred for social isolation, living in a first floor flat with no lift, and the community independent service said that she needed to use a wheeled walker while going out, but of course there was nowhere for her to be able to store one. So I went along, we discussed different activities, family member was there, and we arranged for an activity nearby that I would support the client to attend. She loved it very much. It just so happens also that it's a court that I feel would be ideal for her to move to. After a couple of visits, she actually came to me and said, Michael, I'd like to move. We discussed all the options, completed the housing application for her. That was about 3 months ago. I found out yesterday she's actually been offered and accepted a ground floor flat to meet her needs on that scheme, which is really nice. We can help complete forms. Like I had a client yesterday, he had a voters registration form he needed to complete, so I did that with him online. Managing debt and improving budgeting, so we can work at that, or we can do referrals. We've helped people set up direct debits, agreed repayment plans when they're in arrears on their rent or stuff like that. We access other services. We also do referrals to social services and benefit agencies, etc. I had a 60+ referral recently for social isolation. She started falling quite a lot. She has a silver service care line, so she has family members that are contacted, and she's really worried about falling while she's out and not being able to get any help. And I spoke to her about some options, and then made a referral to social worker for City Telecare now have a Rio GPS unit, which is a tiny little unit about that big with one button on it, and that is actually a care line unit that is linked to a GPS system. They need to have family members who can go out, but what happens is when they press that button, it goes through to our call center, and then our call handlers will contact the next of kin, and they will know exactly where their family member is to go and assist them. Or if we need to send emergency services, we've got their location to be able to send that. And this has given the lady a lot more confidence in being able to go out. I'm currently taking her, we're currently working on walking to a local activity that is only 250 yards from where she lives, but she needed that support to be able to get there. And so that unit replaces her care line, because when it's in her property, she can put it in a docking station, and she can have a little pendant round her neck that will activate that unit. So there's benefits in that new service. Big thing I work on is finding leisure activities, social isolation clients, finding activities for them to do, things to take part in. But what surprises most people is it might not necessarily be an activity for them to attend. I have had clients in the past where their social isolation outcome is that they're actually volunteering for another group to help with making tea, coffee, serving lunch, doing activities with people. So it's always looking at different things. I have a lady who is housebound, doesn't want to attend day centres, is worried about the cost, but she loves to talk to people. Now she's getting in touch with Communicare because she wants to be a telephone befriender. That way she can reduce her social isolation. That way she's supporting other people while supporting herself. I'm just trying to think what else there is. I say, I will go out to a client, we phone them, and for myself, the social isolation ones, if it's a member of the family or a friend that is supporting them to attend the activities, quite often we'll just discuss the needs and I will send them information. But most of the time, if I'm dealing with the client direct, I insist that I go out and see them so I can learn more about them, and their interests and their mobility, and we can discuss lots of different options. It's basically, we will try and support with whatever we can. If we can't, we will try and find an agency or the sector organisation that can help them with that. Excuse me. It's just a case of we will help if we can. A couple of things that did come to mind is we had a referral recently for someone who was going away on holiday for 2 weeks, and they wanted us to pop in on a regular basis to support and check on their family member. Fortunately, that is not something that we can do. In that case, we would make an urgent referral to social services for temporary care support while that person is on their own. And say anyone can make a referral to us, the person themselves, family, friend, doctors, you name it, yourselves, anybody is able to make a referral. I'm just trying to think what else. Say the length of time that we can support varies. It may be just a one-off. If the coordinator at the phone call finds out it's just some information that needs to be sent out, they will do that. They will send it out and then close the case.
Have you thought about Read Easy?
Yes, I have. Yes, because they actually, nice thing with Read Easy is I met with them the other day, and they, as you know, they will work with the person in like a library or something like that. But they have confirmed with me that if we have someone living on one of our sheltered schemes or who can get to one of our sheltered schemes rather than a library, they would be happy to meet with them there. So that's, yeah, we'll work with every agency we can and support people across the city. So we can support them as long as they're over 60, pay their council tax to Southampton City Council, and that's basically it. As long as they're not housing association supported housing, so general needs, owner occupiers, private renters. We've even had referrals from clients in care homes to find them activities to attend in the community. So it's just I say, if you need help with something, it's worth getting in touch with us. We might be able to support, or we might know of the services that that can help. We build it, all of us. We have a folder on our shared drive where any of us comes across any useful information, any activities that might be interesting to people. We just load it all up on there, so it's there for the whole team to access. And yeah, any questions?
Thanks, Mike. Thank you for a wonderful overview of your service. I can see quite a lot of comments have come through in the chat. Paul, Paul Hedges, I think I saw you mention something earlier on. I'm just going to scroll up. Do you want to ask that to Mike?
I just wanted to chat with Mike, really. I haven't seen him for ages, so, you know, it's always lovely to catch up.
Okay, so guys, I didn't have the chat box open. I completely forgot about that.
No,
And
that's no problem at all.
it's not easy to read on this computer screen, but yeah, what I will do is try and get in contact with you guys. And hello, Paul.
Morning, Mike. Just really wondering, is there anything more we can do as a service? Obviously, we sort of sit there not waiting for people to be referred or recommended in, but is there anything more that we can do to support a referral into one of our services? We're trying to work with those that are most vulnerable, and I know that the gap between someone saying they want to do something and actually getting involved in it that's the hardest bit. So if there's anything from your side that you think that we can do, whether it's a follow-up phone call,
It could possibly
supported visit.
I mean, I am quite frequently giving your information out, and I'm just wondering whether it might actually benefit that I just maybe drop you guys an email to say that I've met this person and given them your information, and I think this activity might benefit them.
That'd be really helpful. I mean, we've got a system on our web link will take you straight to a referral form. So you can refer as an agency. So if you refer in, then we follow that up with a phone call anyway. But because sometimes if you give people any information, you've no idea whether they're attending or not. Or
no, because I mean, I one thing I do tend to do is if I've given clients information, and technically I'm finished with their support, I will keep them open in case they contact me, and if it's someone that I really feel really needs to attend something, I will chase up with them and just catch up and see how they've gone, and if they've not done anything, then offer to do it with them to support, to apply for it or attend the activity, just to get them to meet new people, because I know a lot of them are really frightened of going to an activity and not knowing anybody there. So
that's fine. So if there's anything we can do, just let us know, and we can try and accommodate whatever you need.
I will do that, not a problem at all. Thank you so much for that. Any other questions?
Is it possible we could have your email direct? I've got a question that I need to ask, but it's not directly with this.
If Joe forwards on my email, it's got all my contact details on. So I'm happy with that. And say either an email or a phone call, I'm happy to help. I say I normally cover central, north and east, and my colleague Jackie covers west, but I'm happy to, if you've got any clients on the west side, if you've got anything that you'd like to know or just discuss, I'm always open for a phone call or an email.
Perfect, thank you.
Can I talk to you? Sorry, Mike. Sorry, Marty. Can I talk to you, Mike, about whether we might be able to post out some of your information to our users? So
you are welcome. I've given Joe our electronic copy of our 60+ flyers. We're happy for you to give that out to whoever you want to. I say, because we take referrals from everybody, the person themselves, family members, neighbours, doctors, nurses, other organisations like yourselves, and we will help where we can. I mean, we average 65 referrals a month. So it's quite a busy service, but to say we will help where we can. I can see there's a hand up.
Oh yeah, that's me. I was just wondering if you have a waiting list, if there's a delay between people being referred and being contacted.
No, our aim is to actually contact them within 5 working days.
Great.
And if that doesn't work, we will try a cold call. I had a recent client who telephone number wasn't working, and luckily we have access to Care Director, and they were known to social services that actually had a working number. But if that doesn't work, we're not adverse to going out and doing door knocking to just try and get hold of a client. We will make sort of up to about 5 attempts to get hold of the person. So yeah, usually they've had a phone call, even if it's just the triage phone call, they've had that within 5 days.
Great. And so even if people are very limited in their mobility and can't get out of their house, you can still speak to them. And great.
Yeah, so I will always, where necessary, I will always go out and visit. I prefer working I have a hearing problem, so over the phone I don't think is a good thing anyway, but I prefer meeting people face to face, and a lot of my colleagues do prefer to do that, so you can find out a bit more about the person and their mobility, because a lot of people won't tell you their limitations over the phone. So yeah, I find face to face I will always try and go, and I know a lot of my colleagues do. We will try and do face to face support.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mike. Last call. Any questions for Mike? Brilliant. Mike, thank you so much for coming along. We'll talk outside this arena, but yeah, thank you for a fantastic overview of the brilliant work you're doing.
Okay.
Because a lot of people very interested to get your email, I can see in the chat. So I'll forward that round after this when I send out the notes from this. But once again, thank you very much. And yeah, we will move on to our next speaker, who I think.
Take care,
thank
guys.
you, Mike. Take care of yourself.
Bye-bye.
You're welcome to stay as well for the rest of the meeting as well, if you wish as well.
No, it's all right. I've got a client I've got to go and see shortly, but thank you for the offer. Take care, guys.
Take care, Mike. Thank you very much. Bye. Cool, brilliant, fantastic. I think there's a lot of support there that we can access, which is brilliant. I will move swiftly on to Alex and Marty, who are going to talk a bit more about the Green Network. Good morning, Alex and Marty, over to you.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody. Hello. Hi. Hello. Thank you. Well, it's really good to be here. This is my first visit to the Green Social Prescribers Network, which is really exciting. So my name is Alex. I work for Southampton Voluntary Services and a community development team, but also I work 1 day a week part-time for the University of Southampton, their public engagement team. And then involved in different things. One of them is to help support and facilitate Southampton Green Network. And I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this. And then Marty, our researcher who's involved in the Green Social Prescribing research, will tell us a little bit more about that exciting project. So we know, I mean, lots of people, more and more people across Southampton are involved in with green projects, from tree planting to food growing, encouraging biodiversity, working in community gardens and allotments, and looking after local parks. And I think it's fair to say that the whole thing around climate change is really becoming more into the kind of focus of the mainstream society. So we recognize that huge value in green activities that can has an impact on people's health and well-being and for sustainable communities. So SVS, we support and steer Southampton Green Network, which is composed of a range of community and voluntary sector organizations and groups across the city who are involved in making Southampton a better and greener place, more pleasant place for all. And I think the rationale for kind of initiating this sort of network is that we know that bringing people together who share a passion and interest means that we can support each other, we can learn from each other, share ideas, and make it easier for more people to get involved in green projects across the city, and also kind of look and search and apply for funding, which is also an important aspect, and funding to develop further projects. So Southampton Voluntary Services and what used to be called the Mayfield Nurseries, which is part of Soul and Mind, now they're called Mayfield Garden Centre. We teamed up to facilitate and to set up this network. The main aim is really to bring people involved in the environmental and nature work, biodiversity gardening in Southampton. And that covers all postcodes from SO14 to SO19. So what we want to do really is to support and resource individuals and community groups and organizations to deliver those green activities. We want to ensure that we are sharing ideas, learning from each other, and also to link to a wider city initiatives. And I think I would say here that the interesting aspect of the Green Network is that it's really based on co-design and co-production. So we facilitate this network together with the Mayfield Garden Centre, but the whole ethos is that we are committed to the regular input from the membership, from the members of the organizations as to the direction and topics and activities of the network. And the network is open to all individuals and groups from the community, voluntary, social enterprise sector, business and statutory services who are involved in delivering or have interest in green activities in Southampton. So it is very much kind of grassroots based. I think we have a steering group which is composed of different members, local organizations, such as Shoaling Valley Study Center, Mayfield Garden Center, friends of groups, gardening groups. The City Farm, for example, is involved in the steering group. And so it's kind of grassroots, but also the network aims to influence at the policy level in the city, kind of policy level. So we're involved in different consultations, trying to influence that policy and how things are developing in terms of environment in Southampton. So part of this, as in a kind of extension really, we have got a green social prescribing project right now, and so I think I'll probably maybe just pass on to Martin now to talk about this, but it's basically working with a cohort of organizations from the Green Network and social prescribers and community navigators, that some of them that we're already supporting. And what we're trying to do is to enhance and build on that momentum on green initiatives in the city, and also to align with the priorities of those local groups who are involved in this sort of work. Marty, is it okay if I just pass on to you now, because I've just been talking too much now? And
yeah, no problem, Alex.
Thank you.
Okay, can everybody hear me okay? Actually, I can't see anyone because I'm sharing my screen, but I'll assume that you can hear me.
Yes.
Yes. So I'm a part-time occupational therapist at the Royal South Hants, and the other part of my time, I'm a researcher with Southampton Voluntary Service and the University of Southampton on this sort of one-year project developing an impact evaluation toolkit with the Green Network. So the aim is to develop tools to evidence the impact of nature-based programs, looking at how nature-based activities might be benefiting people. Being involved with groups in the network might benefit. We're looking primarily at the individual, but also impacts on the organization and the wider community. And we're hoping to develop a couple of evaluation tools that might be useful for showing the benefits of these groups to funders, to social prescribers like yourselves, to people who might be interested in joining the groups, other organizations, and local government. And so we've got 4 pilot groups that we're working with. The first is Community Roots, funded by CGL, Change Grow Live, and SVS, and it's an allotment gardening project in the Polygon, primarily for people who've been dealing with substance misuse issues, but also other mental health needs. The second is Southampton City Farm in Millbrook, which a lot of you would know, that provides a lot of programs of alternative education, provision for learning disabilities, mental health needs, various children and youth programs, and family programs open to the general public. The third group is the Plants for People program, initiated by Mayfield Garden Center and Solent Mine, which is also a joint initiative with the council. And it has a network of 7 community gardens throughout Southampton, primarily in the more deprived areas of Southampton. So they've got Shirley Towers in Shirley, Hightown Towers in Thornhill, Dempsey Close in Shoaling, Marsh House in Holyrood, the Holyrood Estate, Irving Road in kind of Maybush, Millbrook area, Canberra Towers in Weston, and Oslo Towers. And then our 4th group is Drawing on the Outside, which is a quite small art initiative for men, which involves creating art primarily in the outdoors, but they've also been working at Swaveling train station in the last couple of months, based in Mansbridge, and working with this group, which is traditionally quite hard to reach, which is older men that experience some level of social isolation. They've had already a couple of exhibitions of their work, and they will be on, if you want to put December 2nd in your diary, Saturday, December 2nd at Swaveling Station, they've made a series of panels that are going to cover the windows of Swaveling Station. So we're working with each of these groups to develop and trial an impact evaluation measure or method that might be most relevant for each of them, which could then hopefully be translated again to other groups. The timeline here, the schedule, is that we started in the summer with asking people to submit expressions of interest, and then choosing these 4 groups, having our kickoff meeting in September. We're now working with each of those groups on developing their tools, and then they'll be sort of trialing and testing them over the winter and the spring, with aiming for a launch event in the summer. So please kind of watch this space for updates on where we're at with the toolkit. So the aim is hopefully that we are going to be able to develop tools that would not only be used for the pilot groups, but other groups in the network, and then hopefully disseminated further to other community groups that can benefit. And we'd also like to take this opportunity to kind of pick you guys' brains as a captive audience on what kind of impacts or what kind of things would you like to know about a project that might make you more likely to refer people to it. And so any kind of feedback would be useful for us. And you can pop things in the chat or raise your hand. This is the final slide with our contact info. But we'll also send that out. So I'm going to stop sharing now so I can see people again. Yeah.
Can I just add here? Thank you, Marty. Just in terms of the toolkit, it's kind of, as Marty mentioned, it's going to be shared with the groups in the city, and really the idea is to help and support and enhance their work, and to help them to better measure and demonstrate their social, environmental, and health impact. And that it is also hoped that this would help the organizations and groups to open up some further funding opportunities by better demonstrating their work, especially in terms of green social prescribing. And one final thing, I know Joe is looking at the watch, probably thinking, we need to...
Not at all, not at all.
Okay, well, thank you then. Just to mention, you probably heard about Solinked Slick, kind of part of the Solid directory booklets, which our wonderful Julie Stoddart, who is here with us today, has been working on and creating this marvel in the city. In case you have not been aware of this, there is an addition to that Slick, which is around parks and community green spaces in Southampton. And Joe, if it's okay, if we can send a link to that after the meeting, because I think this may be very useful for social prescribers in the city to actually look at that going forward in terms of referring people to green activities across the city. And finally, please do go on the website, Solink SVS website, and right top hand corner there's a red button. If you click on that, you can register for the SVS newsletter, where you will regularly be updated with all the wonderful things that we are doing, including Solink's project and also across the city news from the community voluntary social enterprise sector. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex and Marty. Wonderful. Oh, Julie, did you want to add something?
No, I just want to bring your attention. I put some information in the chat. The email address of the Southampton Green Network, and also how to get a copy of the Green compilation.
Thank you.
It's in the chat if you want to.
Thank you, Julie. Alex and I had said before that we wanted to definitely mention that chapter that you prepared, because it's really useful. It's really great. It has all the parks and all organized by postcode, so it'll be really useful for everyone.
It is
Thank
brilliant. It is wonderful. I'm going to open up the floor. Does anyone have a question for Marty and Alex, or any kind of comments about green social prescribing in the city? Paul.
Yes, Paul?
Sorry, Joe, I think you know what I'm going to say.
I'm not going to say anything. Oh, no, I've got no idea.
I just actually sent you an email to see if you want me to raise it or you were going to. We've got a project which we're running in called a consortium with ourselves, Francis and James Park, Southampton Uni, around placing some conversation benches in green spaces. So the first one's going to go in St James's Park, which will be, they'll be fairly distinctive, using existing street furniture. We're going to wrap them in a red and white stripe, have a signage on there that just makes them a friendly open space for people to chat. What I'd like to know is, from obviously you've got quite a lot of contacts in those areas, is would any other organisations be interested in having one placed in their space? We have a small amount of funding which is left available to get those wrapped. I'm looking at some prices on that. The idea being that we want to create a little network of these benches which are spaced, from a social prescribing perspective. It'd be a really lovely space to use to meet people outside, and just have them as meeting points. I don't know if it's worth a chat offline to look at whether we can. I know Joe and I have got a dream. We're going to create benches like the fiberglass rhinos that are everywhere, or we want red and white striped benches in every part of the city. But I keep saying this, we haven't got one up yet, and like every time I say it, I feel like more stupid. But
no, we will do it. We will do it. We will have our fiberglass bench rhinos, because it's great. It's a wonderful idea. It's a wonderful project. We're delighted to be working with Saints Foundation and Friends of St James's Park and the uni on this. You know, it's a really cool idea. They've done it in a couple of other cities. If you Google like friendship benches, there's Leicester have got them, I know off the top of my head, and some other places. You know, we envision this kind of being a lovely sort of outside space where people can come together and be a meeting point. You know, reduce that kind of social isolation, bring people together, but also, you know, potentially, you know, have like awareness events on them and things, and make them a real kind of focal point for being outside in the city. So yeah, I think it's definitely worth a conversation. And Marty and Alex, I hope you agree. Oh, good. Any other questions or comments? Oh, someone's got their mic on.
Sorry.
Brilliant, guys.
Oh, Alex, are you about to? Sorry, it looked like Alex's thing was blinking.
I'm here. Sorry, what was that? I've got electricians as well coming, so it's yes. Sorry, what? I heard my name. Sorry.
Oh no, sorry about that, Alex. I thought maybe you had been trying to speak and your microphone might be on mute or something, just in response to Paul. But I think that's.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, this benches initiative is really wonderful, and I think Paul knows that we linked SVS. We are fully behind this, and I know there's been work with the other discussions with other organizations to support that already, and I think it's a really wonderful thing. It's kind of really unique in Southampton, and I'm sure if it kind of takes off, it's going to be really interesting. And I'm pretty sure there'll be further funding for that initiative, because it's really sound idea, which works on different levels in terms of people being out there more in green spaces and getting to know the green space in the local area, but also that level of kind of social isolation and loneliness, and making new contacts with neighbors, and just talking more really to people and meeting other people in the neighborhood.
Thanks, Alex. We're running a little bit over.
Sorry,
was there
one more
last
thing.
quick comment?
Can I just mention, Alex, we were going to said we might mention the next date of the Southampton Green Network. Next meeting is the November the 24th, Friday the 24th of November. But we at Monty's Bike Hub in the morning. But we'd like people to, if you can sign up at Eventbrite, then we have an idea how many people are coming, don't we? So should they email you, Alex, to get that info?
Yes, please. Yes, anybody. I mean, these meetings are really wonderful. Honestly, if you come once, you probably want to come every meeting, because they're really, they get, it's a group of people, but it's not just people who are specifically involved in green projects. It's social prescribers, other organizations, people from the University of Southampton, Solent University, from the local government, NHS. It's really good, really useful discussions, and we usually have presentations as well. So we always walk away from those meetings really feeling kind of really getting more awareness, more knowledge what's happening, and really learning something every time that we meet.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you.
And next meeting, we're going to be able to try out cargo bites.
I'm really sorry. Can we
Maltese.
move? Sorry, we need to move.
Sorry.
We need to. Obviously, are running behind schedule. Alex, send me the details. I will forward that out with the network. And if anyone wants to join, we'll forward invitation to do that. Sorry to cut you guys off, because it's a wonderful project, and please, you know, I know how great it is to work with Alex and Marty, so I know how great it is. But we're running a bit behind schedule. Annie, here to talk about Communicare. Sorry, we're a bit late.
Hi, everybody. I'm Annie Clulo. I think I've met virtually everybody on this call one way or another, but some of you may not have come across me before, in which case I don't know where you've been hiding. However, I'm manager at Communicare in Southampton. We're a good neighbours network that cover the whole of the city of Southampton, and we very much operate at the good neighbourly level. And that's an important thing to bear in mind when you're thinking about whether or not we can help. So whilst our almost 300 communiteers, which is what I call our volunteers, have a whole variety of different backgrounds and therefore competencies, skills, etc. Everything, all of our services, everything that we offer are based on the idea that our volunteers share two attributes, and they are a kind heart and common sense. So when we're thinking about what sorts of services we're able to provide, that is the level at which we're designing them. With that in mind, we're also pretty much all things to all people. And one of the things that means is that we try our best to be really good at working alongside other organisations, particularly those whose interests or skills overlap with ours and are more specialist and more able to deliver exactly what it is that people need. For instance, at the moment, we have an important partnership with the Saints Foundation, where we have something called Saints Care, which is being funded by the National Lottery for us to be able to offer a seamless chance for people, older people, to be involved both with Communicare and also with the Saints Foundation to access their senior activities. And Paul might want to add something about that at the end of my talk. I'm going to concentrate on just a few things because I could go into detail in all sorts of different ways and be here for at least a day, possibly longer. But I suspect you've all got other things to go on to, even however fascinating I am to listen to. So we offer things like transport to both medical appointments and leisure activities, those sorts of things, for people who can't easily get out and about without that help and can't easily afford taxis or other ways of getting about the city. However, you do need to bear in mind that we are very oversubscribed and don't have loads of drivers. So it's always, well, it's never wise to assume that will definitely be something that you can ring up and we will be able to provide that service. What I'd say about all of our services is that it's always worth giving the coordinating team a ring and passing something by them before going into all the depths of referring. We tend to say introducing rather than referring, because they will be able to give you a bit of a steer as to whether it's likely that what you're asking for is going to be able to be met. And things like asking for transport, the more notice that's given, the more chance there is of us being able to meet it. So we provide transport, we do one-to-one befriending, where people will visit people in their homes or talk to them on the telephone. We do a bit of shopping for or with people, although we don't tend to take that on a long-term basis, because we are finding that it's just not practical to keep that going. We do a little bit of DIY and gardening, not loads. And we tend to say to people, try us and we'll see what we can do. In terms of social activities that bring people together outside the home, we've got a number of multi-generational groups, friendship groups across the city, which are open to anybody who can get themselves to them. We do also occasionally have the opportunity to provide minibus transport to that, but it's on and off when we've got the funding and the access to the minibuses as to whether we're able to provide that on a long-term basis. So again, we're trying to get as many as we can across the city so that it's not too far for people to be having to travel to get to them. We're focusing a lot at the moment on our whole approach to out and about, and hence we have got some projects around travel buddies and activity buddies, where we will have volunteers who will help and assist people to get around the city for travel buddies, or take part in activities for the activity buddies where it's not going to be straightforward for them to manage that on their own. So there could be a whole variety of reasons why that might be. With our travel buddies, what they're aiming to do is to be able to start by helping people fairly robustly to get from A to B, not usually giving them a lift in their own cars, because that sets up an expectation which we then can't ongoing fulfill. But for instance, helping people to learn how to use the buses so that they can become confident with routes. An example of that would be, we had a lady come to us who is retired. She'd moved into the city from a rural area and was perfectly capable of travelling on the buses, but really worried about doing it in the urban environment. So we were able to provide her with somebody who could help her to get to grips with using the buses, find the routes that were going to be relevant to her, and now she's able to use the buses on certain routes and certain circumstances, and she's very much not relying on us for transport. The other sort of aspect of that is this whole thing of trying to make sure that we provide people the chance to get to things like Saints Care activities, to have somebody who will be with them whilst they get used to the senior saints groups that they might then become a part of. So you can see that there's a whole variety of different ways that we're able to help people. And you can also probably hear that it's incredibly complicated what we can and can't manage to do. And because of that reason, I'm actually not going to try to cover everything that we're involved in. Suffice it to say, there are two activities where we are pretty much still able to meet everybody almost immediately if they want to take part. One of them is our Hello Southampton calls. So they are what we would call social welfare checks. People can opt into up to 5 days a week of a 10-minute phone call in the morning. So that would be Monday to Friday. They can just have a quick 10-minute conversation with a member of our volunteer team who would ring them up and say, hello, and how are you today? And the idea with those calls is that something that starts as a molehill doesn't get to a mountainous crisis before somebody has had the chance to talk to that person about what they might be doing about it. We don't aim to step in and actually solve people's problems. What we do aim to do is to be there for them to think through what they might do about a particular problem, to be able to involve whoever it is they've given us as a member of their family or community who might support them when things aren't going quite right, or to very occasionally step in and do something about it when you can see that actually the only solution is to intervene. In the past, typically that has been around trying to help somebody get hold of their GP surgery, which you will all know is often a really big, tricky issue at the moment. But we currently have only a small, if any, waiting list with that at all. People will be phoned by somebody different on different days, so they're not building up a relationship with one particular person generally. But there's a very special little system that is used so that there are records of the calls where there are pertinent things that have been said in a call that can be followed up on the following day by whoever calls on that occasion. The second thing that we're able to do is to include everybody, and we do this pretty much from day one of them coming onto our waiting list or being introduced to us, to have our newsletter or activity pack, which goes out sort of monthly, whenever I can afford to send it. And it's something that comes through their door in the post, lands on their doormat, and is incredibly well received. People really enjoy that contact with others, the sense of belonging that they get out of it, and all the information that comes with it. So we offer organisations across the city who've got pertinent and relevant information for our service users to provide us with that information in a hard copy format, and that will go out in those packs so that people are aware of what's available to them. And quite often, not only do they use it, but they hand it on to members of their family, their neighbours, their friends, and it reaches a very, very wide circle. We're supporting about 690 people at the moment, and we estimate that around half of those people are what we would call not digitally active. So some of them may actually have an email address, but they never ever use it. And they certainly aren't aware of any of these things that go out on social media or any of those places. So they're oblivious to what's going on in the city of Southampton, what's available to them, unless it happens to be, say, in the Echo, and they are getting the Echo newspaper, or if it happens to go on the BBC News or something like that. But you can imagine that that's a heck of a lot of activities and opportunities that people would miss out on. So we do find that that is incredibly useful. So those are the two things that you're likely to be able to get. Well, the newsletter straight away, but it is dependent on me having enough postage. And the Hello Southampton, I know that there are still some vacant slots on that at the moment, and we're always looking to expand that team so that we hope and aspire not to end up with a waiting list ever with that. Hopefully that gives you a bit of an idea. The other thing that we are leading on is the Southampton Mental Health Network, and that in itself doesn't provide services for people. But if any of you are interested in a whole variety of stuff that goes on across the city and organisations across the city who are providing not just information or support for people who are mentally ill, as in, clinically dealing with something about their mental health, but also just the underlying mental well-being, protecting their mental health, then it is worth taking out membership which will cost you £2. So it is quite expensive, because I can see all of you are going to struggle with £2, but I'm hoping that somehow you'll manage to find that. And a weekly roundup goes out, which tells you a lot about what's going on in those sorts of areas, and things that might not come directly from us would be likely to hit you just by reading that roundup, which we keep short, sweet, and to the point. Okay, sorry, I've droned on, but luckily it wasn't 2 days.
Thanks, Annie. And all I would say is, we get that roundup. It is a really good roundup. There's a couple of, there's lots of news that's in the city, and that's a really good one as well. Paul, did you want to add anything as well to what Annie was saying?
Yeah, sorry, my phone's just turned off. So yeah, just quickly, firstly, the work that Annie and I have undertaken is probably one of the most unlikely partnerships for two organisations to get together, but the outcomes of what we've managed to achieve by working together has been really, really strong over the last year. So Senior Saints offers 14 sessions a week across the community. We deliver everything from social walking groups to chair-based exercise, circuit classes, walking sport programs. And the beauty of Saints Care is that if you refer into the program as a social prescriber, that older adult will get help throughout their life course. So when they're at that point where they're relatively independent but just need a bit of extra help, they've got something for them there. And then as their circumstances change and their ability to do stuff independently reduces, that the help is still there. But the beauty of the system is that they don't know that anything's changed. So for them, they're just still getting the support that they need. And I think what it shows in the city is that what we need more of is this joined up collaborative working approach, because what we found, to put it into context, our usual engagement rate over a year is about 300 people throughout our Senior Saints program. We just done our 6-month audit, and we're up to 398 this year. Now, we're not saying that's all down to Annie, although Annie will claim that, but that's perfect if she does.
It definitely is down to us.
Yeah, no, I did say that, but what it shows is that collaborative approach just opens up the doors for more people. And at the end of the day, we're all in the business of just trying to get more people supported, and that's what we do. So, if anyone's interested in the Senior Saints program, if you want, there's no way of adding anything into this chat, as in uploading anything.
What do you mean, documents and stuff?
Yeah, I just wanted to put I could have put a timetable in there, but I can't do it from here.
I think there is, but I don't know how. I don't know if you try dragging and dropping, maybe. But if you've got something, send it to me, because I'll send it
you,
out
if you can, send it out. But from a social prescribing point of view, our referral process is really easy. There's a web link, which you just basically fill out a form, name, address, telephone contact, and then we do the rest from that end. And we're just with the digitally inactive, something that we also have. We've got radio, so 5 days a week in their own homes, and it's a pre-recorded. People can just we've got an exercise booklet we can send out to support people in it as well. But it's just that general introduction. If you're looking to get people more active and doing something, but they don't want to commit to going to a class or joining a group, it's a perfect way to get people involved and get them in early.
Cool. Thank you very much, Rafe. Does anyone have any questions for Annie or Paul? Cool.
No, well, I've explained it really, really clearly, Joe.
You did, my dear. Cool. Okay. What I'll say is that details will come out after this. I'll send them around. We'll send the web link for the video and contacts and things as well. So if you think of anything afterwards, all the speakers, I'm sure, are happy for people to get in touch and ask those questions further directly. So we'll go from there. So I'd just like to say thank you very much, Annie, for coming to talk to us about the amazing work that Communicare are doing. What I'll say, I'm going to stop recording now. Should we have we're only 10 minutes behind schedule, which I think is a new personal best. So well done, me. We will stop for a sort of 4-minute, 5-minute break, and reconvene at about 20 past. Go and have a quick cup of tea, go to the toilet, and we can have some updates and just talk about what we're seeing in the sector. Thank you very much to our speakers, and catch you in 5.